Hello, and welcome to the It's Finally Cold Again, and I have time to make a podcast episode. I have been stupid inconsistent with this podcast, and for many reasons. Hear me out. I've had to plan a wedding. I got my wisdom teeth taken out, which, by the way, was the worst surgery I've ever gotten. Like, I think it was probably the most pain that I ever had. And I'm usually very good with pain. Like, I don't take medication when I'm sick. Like, I pretty much have to be on my deathbed in order for me to take medication. But because of that, like, first of all, it's not necessarily like a good thing that that's happening. But because of that, I have built this kind of intolerance to pain. And normally it's like totally okay and it's really simple and easy to, get through everything. But I swear this was like the worst surgery of my life. So that was going on. I've had a lot of like personal shit going on too, just with my family, my dog. Not my dog, like me and my fiance's dog, but like my family dog. And he's been going through a lot of health stuff, and it's just been a rough time. So I'm going to start with that. And I'm going to also start with a hello. Happy mid November. We are literally T minus a month and a half away from 2024, my wedding year. And it's starting to hit me that I'm getting married, but like not yet. I'm approaching the 6 month mark. So my anxiety is definitely like going up the roof a little bit, but we're going to take it day by day because that is all I can do. But yeah, it's been a pretty crazy, like what the last podcast I made, I'm pretty sure it was like in August. I'm checking because I have to know now because, like, that's how I am. So, the last time that I had something was in August. That was 3 months ago, and I literally cannot believe that it's already been 3 months since. So, I went to Europe, which was fantastic, and pretty much I feel like every single year, September to December, just like it goes. It just falls in a blink of an eye, like boom. And next thing you know, it's January, and then like even worse, next thing you know, it's April, and it just flies. And I think that scares me a lot because, especially because of the wedding, like it's definitely going to be here before I know it. And I'm going to talk about a few things here and there. Like, I feel like there's going to be a whole just like jumble of shit that's on my mind because I feel like, especially the past like week or two, there's been so much I've been wanting to like talk about on this podcast. And I'm just like, how do I even incorporate it all? Like, there's no way. Well, okay, to begin with, I just want to give a special shout out to anybody and everybody who watches Marvel because Loki just finished and it is literally the best. Like, out of all the characters so far in the Marvel Universe, I think that Loki has had the best character arc without a doubt, without comparison. Like, nobody can compare. I think the way that they made season 2 of Loki, without spoiling anything, because I don't know if you guys have listened to it, I mean, watched it, and, it's just been so much. And I think what's so cool about it is just full circle. That's all I'm going to say. It was totally worth the watch. And, the thing is, obviously, I work at Disney, right? So I get to see behind the scenes, like how the title is doing. And it wasn't doing as, I guess, what everybody expected. But honestly, like the quality of this season was just mind-blowing. And then you throw in the Marvels, and like that just went from like really good to not good. And I don't know, if you guys haven't seen the Marvels yet or don't even care about Marvel, like feel free to pretty much tune me out because I get it. But I just am shook by how they can make something so good, but then at the same time, like make something that's mid. And I guess that shows the, versatility of Marvel. But I don't know. I was feeling two different things about both titles. So I was like, I don't know. Anyways, if you have seen the Marvels, if you have seen Loki, let me know in the comments of this podcast, or honestly, just if you know me personally, like shoot me a text. I literally have been dying to talk about it with anybody. Like my fiance and I have obviously we watched it together. And we've been talking about it so much, and we watch YouTube videos. There's this guy on YouTube that we watch pretty much consistently after we watch every single movie or show that kind of breaks down everything, and I think it's really cool. But I've been dying to have a conversation, and I don't know, it's just like so difficult these days. And not anybody's fault. Everyone's just busy, and it's just super hard to like make time. But that's pretty much my 50 cents on that because it took forever to talk about. Anyways, so while that was all going on, there was also just a lot of stuff going on at home. And my family's dog, Milo, he unfortunately was diagnosed with, I think the abbreviation is IHMA. I'm also looking it up because, of course, I think it's called, I'm going to have to, immune mediated hemolytic anemia. Okay, so that's pretty much, long story short, a blood disorder where your body cannot make the same red blood cells that it normally would on just like a normal dog body. And it was probably one of the most heartbreaking diagnoses that you could ever receive for a dog. And I'm still honestly just like going through the motions because it literally just happened like a few weeks ago. And I'm just like trying to navigate it. As a family, we're trying to navigate it. And, if you or anybody knows about anything related to IMHA, I think I said the abbreviation wrong earlier, but IMHA. If anyone knows anything about it, just feel free to message me. I'm still trying to figure it out, all the little details. It's really difficult. But we're honestly just like trying to do the best that we can. So we're changing his diet. He's going from dry food to a bunch of, I guess, raw food, you could say, like liver, iron heavy stuff. Although iron really isn't going to replace the blood, but we're really trying. And, he had to get a blood transfusion, which, don't even get me started. That's a whole nother topic because, like, what's the point of insurance if it can't protect against anything? And I know it's a complicated answer. Like, don't get me wrong. I understand that, like, it could be a disease that pretty much has no cure. It actually, honestly, doesn't have a cure, which sucks, but we're doing the most that we can. So that doesn't have a cure. And even if my dog had insurance, I think, like, best case scenario, he would be covered for it for like a year or two. But because it's a recurring disease or illness, it's not going to be fully covered for pretty much the rest of his life, which is awful. And I can imagine, like, our healthcare system is literally the same way. And it just infuriates me. Like, first of all, it's so expensive to prolong someone's life. And it's crazy to me that we have the tools, we have the medicine, we have the everything to like at least help support somebody, but it costs an arm and a leg. And I don't know. I get super triggered about it because I feel like the US healthcare system is just a whole different beast. But I feel like I'm gonna need more than this podcast episode to go off on that. So I'm just gonna say, like, I wish, but here we are. So that's been going on, and I'm getting like anxiety from that too, on top of everything else, which is just super difficult. Also, I'm sorry if you're hearing like noise in the background. My dog is chewing his toy next to me. He's gotten into this habit where, like, if he thinks I'm on a call, like pretty much talking, he thinks I'm in a call, he chews his toy next to me. So if you hear anything, that's why. I can't stop him. I can't ignore it. But here we are. So yeah, it's been craziness and anxiety driving for sure. It's also been just a lot of stuff. I feel like because I'm a very empathetic person, and I'm sure this is something that even a normal person would, feel emotions towards, but because I am such an empath, like I really feel heavily for things that honestly aren't even my problem or up to me. I feel like, you know, I'm picturing how I would feel if I was my dog, and it definitely takes a heavier toll on me than the normal person. Like, I feel like because of that, I'm just extra sad about it, extra stressed, extra anxious. And on top of that, like, Disney's been a whole lot of stuff. I've been working on a lot of things, and it's just been adding up to my stress. And I feel like something I wanted to bring up here, especially, is just trying to navigate, honestly, like how to recognize that you need a day off. And I've been struggling with this for the longest time of just trying to, like, even take a sick day. I never do that. And it's just because of my upbringing. I just don't know how to take off, even a mental health day. I almost feel like it's weak to do that. And it's not. Like, don't get me wrong, it's definitely not weak. It's a perfectly understandable thing to do. But because of how I was raised, that pretty much, I need a break. Like, that doesn't sound right in my mind. And I'm definitely working on that and trying to be better about it. But it still doesn't, help that sometimes I do need a day off, and I've kind of like forced myself to stick it out and just deal with it pretty much. So I'm like, I don't even know what to do about it. And I don't know. I think that it's just like something prideful of me that I don't know how to take off. But lately, I've been trying to like work on that and try to recognize when I do need a day off. And I'm actually super proud of myself because I want to say it was like the beginning of October. I took a day off for literally, like, I wasn't feeling well. Like, feeling well meaning I didn't have a fever. I wasn't sick, but I wasn't feeling well. Like, I couldn't sleep the night before. I had a headache. And I just took the day off, and I literally just slept the whole day. And it did wonders for me. Like, this is literally something my therapist has been trying to get me to do, to the point that, like, he basically forced it. He was like, okay, this is the month you're going to take a day off. And I was like, no, but okay. And, so I basically did that, and it was great. I literally didn't do anything. And my therapist had said, like, if you're going to take a day off, like, take the full day off. Do not go to the gym, which I tried not to. I definitely didn't, but it was hard not to. Don't go to the gym, watch shows, like, get your favorite Thai food. And I literally did all that. And honestly, it was super challenging for me. I just don't know how to sit still. And that's kind of like just the hardest part about all of it, to the point where I was like, okay, I am not doing anything. What can I do to make my time productive? And literally, this has been the like conversation I've been having with my therapist about, like, it doesn't have to be productive all the time. And again, this is something that I battle with because I just am so used to being busy all the time. I can't help it. Like, that's just how I used to emphasize on that. I used to be to prevent myself from facing whatever was bothering me. And for the longest time, it's been 7 years since probably one of the worst years of my life. 7 or 8 years. Oh my God, I'm like losing track already. It's been pretty much 7.5 or 8 years since pretty much the hardest year of my life. And like, I'm in a much better place now mentally, physically, emotionally. But still, I feel like because of our experiences, it catches up with us sometimes. And it happens especially when, like, I'm more stressed than usual. And because I've had to work so much, I have been kind of in that mind state of fight or flight almost because of all the stress I've been going under. And I think that sometimes I forget it's happening and then I like don't do anything about it. So that's kind of where I've been. And I think that, like, now the days are getting shorter. Now, people around me are starting to have families and kind of settle down a little bit. It's been a little hard to adjust to pretty much not just my new schedule, but everybody's new schedules. It's not about going out and getting drunk on a Tuesday night anymore. It's not about like going out on the weekends. People have stuff to do, and it might not always be you plus somebody else. And again, this kind of circles back with things I've been dealing with for years now, of like trying to do things on my own. And that's kind of been the hard part about it, trying to like allow myself to do things on my own. And I feel like, again, that's just going to be a trial and error thing for me. I feel like because of all the downtime I've had and the wedding planning, it's actually made me realize that I love designing and decorating things. So I even started to look into what it would look like if I made an Etsy store and I made all these templates from Canva. And I think that's something that I at least want to explore down the road in the future and kind of see how that works out for me. I found that I actually really like it, and just the fact of making, something creative actually gets me kind of excited. So I feel like that's something that it's like a late passion of mine. So even that, and then there's also like music and trying to get back in touch with music. I feel like that's been extra hard for me just because of honestly just making the time. It's not even that I don't have time. It's more like I'm not making the time. And that's where again it gets kind of tricky because I kind of have to like want it. And that's what's hard. I feel like because it's been so like difficult to want to do anything besides, sit on the couch, watch a show or movie, or like, I don't know, not do anything. It's been so hard to do anything else that I feel like even just the effort of getting myself to start is again like the hardest part. It's like working out. That's like the hardest part about it. So I've been battling with that too. And I think that's just more of the things that I want to get to work on for the new year. I've also found that I really love budgeting and making a budget for myself. I've actually started the process of cash stuffing. I can't say that. Like, it's like a tongue twister, cash stuffing. And basically what you do is you take out all of the available money you have besides your automatic payments, like your rent payment, your or mortgage, or your credit card payments, the minimums, or your car payment, pet insurance, gas. Those things stay in the bank, but basically what you're focusing on is the variable expenses, and that's like, I don't know, household items, groceries, Um, what else? Like pet funds, which is different from pet insurance. Then there's also beauty, like your skincare and things like that. And I've been trying to like put them in different envelopes and try to like be a month ahead, if that makes sense, or at least like a little ahead from my spending every month. So the goal is that like I'm able to put aside some money for every situation. Like the thing that I'm saving up the most for is my wisdom teeth surgery, which again, insurance covered part of it, like, but not even. It literally costs almost 3,000 to get my teeth pulled out. And when I tell you how how low my mouth dropped from that, I was dead ass like not able to speak and it was difficult. But here we are. And yeah, so I'm basically trying to save up for that. I put on my credit card, which right now is at a 0% APR. And so I'm trying to take advantage of that and basically like save up for whatever I can to like pay it off. So another thing that I also use the cash envelopes for is, for example, like I'm trying to think what else. I'm also saving up for my bridal shower, which I won't need for a few months, but it's pretty cool. Like kind of tying back into my like wedding savings, it's actually been super helpful because all of my down payments that are due on, certain dates, besides my venue, I think that's going to obviously come from like a savings perspective because that's just like obviously bigger chunks. So, yeah, stay tuned to how that works out because I have a good feeling it's going to be okay. But I'm also battling a bunch of debt right now, too. So I think that it'll be cool to kind of see the journey. And I'd love to have you guys there with me in the journey, too, to see how that kind of pans out. So it's going to be interesting to see. And I'm just super excited because it's just nice knowing that you're working for something and all that money's not just going towards like clothing and more things that honestly doesn't even fit in this apartment. So I'm really excited to bring you guys with me on that journey and it's going to be super interesting to see. So stay tuned and I'll definitely keep you guys updated. I am deciding to finally go back into this podcast mode and I think it'll be good for me just to keep myself accountable. First of all, I think that having this has been super helpful with just keeping me focused and driven. And I think especially in the gym too, it's been super hard to like stay focused and especially like ever since I hurt my back, I feel like I've had no motivation to keep going. And I think a lot of it is just like I'm tired. I'm just tired, bruh. But I'm excited to document my journey and I'm looking forward to, I guess, just the last little bits of the year before it's over. And I feel like this whole year has been so fun. Like, I went to Disney World too, which was a whole nother thing. My dumbass forgot my employee ID. So I couldn't even use my discounts. I did use it. Let me correct myself. I was lucky enough that the people who I interacted with were able to accept like a digital version, but I'm sure the next time I'm not going to forget because that is basically why I went in the first place. And I understand it's totally super expensive there and everything, but it was definitely worth it. We stayed at I think it was called the All Sports Resort, and it was so cute actually. And I knew my fiance was going to be so excited to be there because sports, like all the buildings were different themes for sports. There was a huge football helmet by one of the buildings, and there was like the lifeguard seat, and then a huge soccer field, a huge football field, and it was just perfectly themed. And that was like one of the cheaper resorts. I can't even imagine what the rest of them look like. I'm sure they were just all gorgeous, but we wanted to stay in budget and everything. So, yeah. And that is pretty much most of the things going on in my life right now. I wanted to bring up something just going on in current events. I think it's important to talk about, and it's not something that should be ignored. I get that it's a hard topic, and sometimes it's hard to talk about things like this, but everything going on in Israel, Palestine, Gaza, I don't even know the extent. And I'm only speaking as somebody with probably 5% knowledge of history and just everything going on. I'm unfortunately not up to date with current events in general, but what I do know is that social media has really, I want to say, hidden us from the actual reality of what's going on there. And listen, I'm not here to pick sides. I'm here to pick peace. And the only thing I have to say is we have to, for those who obviously can't solve world's problems, like pretty much most of us, the best we can do is, keep talking about it and just try to spread awareness and try to be knowledgeable and everything and just supportive of all of the people around us that are affected. I mean, we don't even know anymore who is affected these days. I think that because of what's been going on, there's been a lot of violence that I think is just super uncalled for, and I just want to keep hoping that this can all end tomorrow. And it's hard to, I guess, be fully happy. Like I said, I'm an empath, and it's hard to be fully in the moment, just knowing that one, we're pretty much blindsided by everything that's actually going on because there's no internet. We don't even know how bad it actually is there, and the few sources that can tell us it's bad. And I'm just very hurt for the families that have lost a lot, for the families that just have lost. And I just hope that this will end soon and we just, support peace out here. So that's all I can say on that situation, and just hope that it gets better soon. And I know it's been years in the making and so much more that I just don't have the knowledge to talk about. So I'm not going to go any further, but I just hope for better days. So yeah, that's pretty much it there in terms of history and how I feel about it. And I think it's just a crazy world right now. And, I'm trying to do as much as I can personally. I try my best. I check on all my loved ones and just try to be there for everybody. I think end of the day, we're all just people and we deserve to be cared about and paid attention to and deserve to be equal with everybody else. So that's just my little bit on that. But yeah, besides all that, a lot of interesting, deep, crazy stuff going on in my life and everybody else's, I'm sure. I just have a few more things to plan for the wedding. Probably like bigger stuff, like I want to say food, the invites, and probably the guest count. That's kind of like the biggest stuff. And then the other stuff that's remaining is just details and working that out. And I honestly just love planning. So it's been a super exciting time for me. And I think that it's just overall a good time. I know to some people, planning is super stressful and it ties a lot with anxiety things, but I feel like in that aspect, at least I've been super good with separating the two. So hopefully it remains that way. But stay tuned as we get closer, because I'm sure it's all going to be nutty from here on out. So yeah, I just, I feel like this whole podcast has been a lot of random stuff that just comes up in my brain. But I feel like there was so much I needed to bring up because it's been so long. And yeah, I'm looking forward to coming back and recording more with you guys and to talk about just everything in my journey, like my wedding journey, my budgeting journey, paying off my debt, because that's a huge box on my to-do list. So stay tuned, and thank you guys for listening. I will talk to you guys next time.